Today, on the 18th of November 2025, we gather here in this heartfelt space to remember and honor remarkable souls who have recently left us, along with those whose legacies continue to inspire. Together, we'll celebrate their journeys and also reflect on WWE legend Stephanie McMahon's recent struggles that fans everywhere have connected with. Don't forget to subscribe and be a part of our growing family of remembrance and strength. Kerry Von Erich, born February 3, 1960, in Dallas, Texas, was one of the most beloved figures in professional wrestling. As part of the iconic Von Erich family, he stepped into the ring in 1978 and quickly stood out for his incredible athleticism, natural charisma, and movie star looks. Nicknamed the modern-day warrior, Kerry became a fan favorite thanks to his high-energy style and his famous finisher, the Tornado Punch, which brought crowds to their feet. During the 1980s, Kerry rose to the top of the wrestling world. His most unforgettable moment came in 1984 when he defeated Ric Flair to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, a victory that cemented his status as a true superstar. Whether performing in world-class championship wrestling, WCW, or later the WWF, Kerry always connected deeply with fans who admired both his talent and his heart. Behind the scenes, however, Kerry faced immense personal challenges. Life in the spotlight, ongoing injuries, and struggles with substance abuse created constant pressure. The series of heartbreaking losses within the Von Erich family, including the deaths of his brothers David and Mike, weighed heavily on him and added to the emotional burden he carried throughout his career. Tragically, Kerry Von Erich died by suicide at the age of 33, a loss that sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. Though his story is marked by both triumph and deep sorrow, he remains remembered for his remarkable contributions to the sport, his connection with fans, and the lasting legacy of the legendary family he represented. Peggy Lee Leather, born January 19, 1959, was a standout figure in American professional wrestling, remembered for her toughness, versatility, and decades-long influence on the sport. Throughout her career, she competed in major promotions such as WWF, AWA, WCW, and several women's wrestling organizations. Performing under names like Lady X and Thug Leather's journey began in the WWF from 1980 to 1985, where her energetic style quickly made her a fan favorite. Teaming with Wendy Richter, she became a familiar challenger to the WWF Women's Tag Team Champions, Velvet McIntyre and Princess Victoria. After parting ways with Richter in 1985, she set her sights on the WWF Women's Championship. Coming close but never capturing the title, she later moved to the American Wrestling Association, where she continued to raise her profile. Leather's feud with Medusa Miceli became one of her most memorable rivalries, and she even took part in the famous Lingerie Battle Royal at Super Clash 3 in 1988. In the 1990s, Leather joined David McLean's Powerful Women of Wrestling, where she once again crossed paths with Richter. She then transitioned to the Ladies Professional Wrestling Association, earning one of the biggest achievements of her career when she won the LPWA Championship. Leather briefly returned to WCW in 1997, competing in the hunt for the WCW Women's Championship, and later reinvented herself as Thug in Women of Wrestling during the early 2000s. After retiring in 2013, Peggy Lee Leather left behind a powerful legacy as a trailblazer in women's wrestling. She passed away at 64, remembered for her strength, resilience, and lasting impact on the sport. Chyna, born Joan Marie Laurere on December 27, 1969, was a groundbreaking force in professional wrestling, as well as an actress and bodybuilder. Best known for her time in WWE, she became an icon in an era when women were rarely given space to compete on the same stage, and certainly not at the same level as men. With her 5'10" frame and striking, powerful physique, she stood out immediately and quickly earned the nickname, the Ninth Wonder of the World. Chyna burst onto the wrestling scene in the late 1990s and became one of the defining figures of WWE's Attitude Era. Fans were drawn not only to her strength, but also to her confidence, charisma, and the fearless presence she brought to every match. She wasn't just participating in storylines, she was rewriting what was possible for women in the sport. Chyna became the first woman in WWE history to win the Intercontinental Championship, a title traditionally held by men, and she also captured the Women's Championship. Her memorable feuds with stars like Triple H, Chris Jericho, and Kurt Angle helped cement her place as a true trailblazer. Outside the ring, Chyna explored acting and reality television, appearing in shows such as The Surreal Life and Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. Although her public life often reflected her vibrant personality, she also faced personal battles, including struggles with addiction, which affected her later years. Chyna passed away at 46, leaving behind a complex but incredibly powerful legacy. Today, she's remembered as a pioneer who broke barriers, challenged norms, and opened doors for countless women who followed in her footsteps, both in wrestling and far beyond it. Rocky Johnson, born August 24, 1944, in Amherst, Nova Scotia, was a trailblazing force in professional wrestling and the proud father of Dwayne, "The Rock" Johnson. His journey in the sport began in the 1960s when he traveled across Canada and the United States, competing in a variety of regional promotions. From the start, Rocky stood out, not just for his impressive athletic ability, but for his confidence, charisma, and determination to succeed in a world where opportunities for black wrestlers were limited. By the late 1970s, Rocky's hard work paid off as he rose to national prominence in the World Wrestling Federation, WWF. There he teamed with Tony Atlas to form a groundbreaking African-American tag team. Their partnership brought energy and excitement to the ring, and together they captured the WWF World Tag Team Championship. Their victory was historic, opening doors for future generations and reshaping perceptions within the industry. Rocky's wrestling style blended agility, strength, and showmanship. Fans admired his quick footwork and powerful strikes, while younger wrestlers often sought his guidance. Even after retiring in the 1990s, Rocky continued to influence the sport as a trainer and mentor, helping shape the next wave of talent, including his son, who would go on become one of the biggest stars in entertainment. In 2008, Rocky Johnson was honored with an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame, celebrating his contributions and lasting impact on professional wrestling. He passed away at 75, leaving behind a legacy defined by perseverance, talent, and inspiration for countless wrestlers who followed in his footsteps. Nicole Bass, born on August 10, 1964, was an unforgettable force in the world of professional wrestling. Best known by her ring name, Nicole Bass, she rose to fame in the 1990s with a presence that immediately set her apart. Towering, strong, and confident, she brought an intensity to the ring that fans couldn't ignore. Before she stepped into wrestling, Bass built a successful career as a model. Her striking look and bold personality quickly drew attention, opening doors that eventually led her into the world of sports entertainment. When she made her wrestling debut in the mid-1990s, she appeared in several major promotions, including the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, and Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. Bass wasn't just known for her size. She had a powerful, hard-hitting in-ring style that helped redefine expectations for women in the industry. She took on matches that highlighted her strength, determination, and willingness to push boundaries. In an era when women's wrestling often didn't get the spotlight it deserved, she played an important part in shifting that narrative. Her presence helped prove that female athletes could bring the same intensity, physicality, and star power as their male counterparts. Outside the ring, Bass remained committed to promoting health and fitness. She inspired many through her dedication to training and personal wellness, encouraging others to pursue strength in every form. Physical and otherwise, Nicole Bass passed away at the age of 52, but the impact she left behind is still felt. She remains remembered as a trailblazer, a fierce competitor, and a beloved figure whose legacy continues to influence fans and athletes alike. Stephanie Marie McMahon. Levesque's life has always existed in a space where public legacy meets private responsibility, a world where family, business, and personal identity are woven so tightly together that separating one from the other feels nearly impossible. Born on September 24, 1976 in Hartford, Connecticut, she entered a universe shaped by her family long before she had any control over it. As the daughter of Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon, Two of the most influential figures in the wrestling and business worlds, Stephanie's name has been synonymous with WWE since childhood. Growing up in the uniquely intense environment of a multi-generational wrestling dynasty brought not only opportunities but expectations. Expectations of leadership, toughness, intelligence, and the kind of emotional resilience that often goes unspoken in public narratives. Even in her early years, attending Greenwich Country Day School and later Greenwich High School, classmates and teachers saw a young woman who had already been shaped by the weight of a global brand without being consumed by it. She carried herself with a confidence that was not arrogance, but necessity. The kind of presence required when your life's path seems predetermined before your first real decision. After earning her communications degree at Boston University and furthering her education at Robert Morris University in 2019, Stephanie grew into a figure who balanced public image with private ambition. Standing 1.75 meters tall and possessing a commanding presence, she became someone who seemed destined to lead. Though destiny, as her story shows, is rarely simple or peaceful, often demanding a toll in emotional energy, health, and personal stability that outsiders never fully see. The rise of a multifaceted leader in WWE. Throughout Stephanie's long and complicated WWE journey, her role evolved far beyond the glamour and theatrics that fans saw on television. While many remember her as an on-screen personality, a former women's champion, a fierce authority figure, and a central character during eras that defined modern wrestling entertainment, her off-screen career was equally impactful, often more so. She served as Executive Vice President of Creative Development and Operations before stepping into the role of Chief Brand Officer, positions that required intense dedication, strategic insight, and constant navigation of WWE's challenging internal culture. Her work expanded the company's global footprint, fostered major brand partnerships, and helped shape WWE into a multimedia powerhouse. At a time when entertainment landscapes were shifting rapidly, initiatives like Connor's Cure revealed the emotional depth behind her corporate persona, showing a genuine heart for philanthropy and community support. Yet the pressure of these responsibilities, constant travel, high-stakes decision-making, public scrutiny, and the expectations of carrying a family empire are the kind of pressures that accumulate quietly over years. In industries as relentless as professional wrestling, burnout is common, and the emotional labor required of top executives can create unseen strains on health and overall well-being. While Stephanie has not publicly disclosed personal health issues, her decision to take a leave of absence in 2022 suggested a need for rest, reflection, and family focus. The kinds of needs often overlooked in narratives about powerful women, but essential to their humanity. Her marriage to Paul Triple H Levesque and their life with daughters, Aurora Rose, Murphy Claire, and Vaughn Evelyn added another layer of complexity, as balancing high-level corporate responsibilities with parenthood is rarely simple, especially within a family business that operates under constant public spotlight. A turbulent departure and a return marked by uncertainty. Stephanie McMahon's temporary exit in 2022 and subsequent resignation in early 2023 reflected a chapter marked by instability, not just for her, but for WWE as a whole, as internal investigations, leadership reshuffling, and shifting corporate priorities created an environment of unusual volatility. When she unexpectedly stepped back into the company following Vince McMahon's initial retirement, many praised her ability to bring calmness and stability, highlighting her leadership style as grounded, empathetic, and collaborative, qualities that had become increasingly rare in an industry long dominated by aggressive corporate strategies. Her return as interim chairwoman and co-CEO demonstrated her deep commitment to WWE, even when stepping back would likely have been easier for her personal life and emotional well-being. However, her second departure following Vince's reinstatement signaled the complex emotional tension of balancing family loyalty with professional boundaries, a conflict that can take a heavy psychological toll regardless of power or wealth. While no direct financial issues were ever attributed to her personally, the larger WWE landscape, a company undergoing mergers, restructuring, and shifting executive control, created an atmosphere where financial stability strategic direction, and leadership security were openly questioned by analysts, fans, and insiders alike. In such an environment, any executive returning without a formal title, as Stephanie reportedly has in 2025, naturally faces professional uncertainty, personal stress, and the emotional strain of being both connected to and separated from the company that shaped their entire life. Her return in an unofficial capacity only intensifies the sense of ambiguity, raising questions about how much influence she truly has, how much pressure she faces behind closed doors, and whether she is stepping into a familiar role out of duty, concern, or unresolved ties to the company her family built. The state of WWE, a company facing emotional and financial crossroads. Stephanie's quiet return occurs during one of the most delicate transitional periods in WWE history, a moment defined by shifting creative control, corporate consolidation, external competition, and internal morale challenges that collectively shape both the emotional and financial climate of the company. Vince McMahon's reemergence in the corporate structure following the TKO Holdings merger has led to ongoing concerns about stability at the top, as long-term employees and talent navigate a landscape where creative direction and management authority seem inconsistent or unpredictable. Although WWE remains financially strong on the global stage, the wrestling industry's competitive environment has intensified, with AEW, NJPW, and various international promotions offering viable alternatives that were not significant threats a decade ago. Such competition affects not only market share, but the long-term financial planning and risk assessment that executives must grapple with internally. Declining morale among wrestlers and creative staff, reported by multiple industry outlets, reflects a deeper issue: emotional fatigue, job insecurity, and creative frustration that often accompany large corporate mergers. These stresses ripple outward, influencing productivity, loyalty, and overall workplace atmosphere. While Stephanie's unofficial involvement may help create a sense of reassurance, particularly given her past reputation as a supportive figure, it also places her in a challenging position where she may feel responsible for stabilizing a company she no longer formally leads. Emotional stress, the weight of legacy, and the fear of watching a family-built empire struggle under external pressures can all contribute to long-term strain, even if unspoken. Though not a personal financial problem for Stephanie, the uncertainty about WWE's long-term corporate direction, ranging from the TKO merger to potential future sales or restructuring, naturally raises questions about the financial identity of the company her family once fully controlled, adding another layer of emotional complexity to her return. Fan reactions and the complex emotions surrounding her return. The response from the WWE fan base illustrates how deeply Stephanie McMahon's presence resonates, not just within corporate circles, but across the wider wrestling community. Some celebrate her return as a hopeful sign, a symbol of stability, empathy, and long-term vision during a time when WWE feels increasingly corporate and detached. They see her as a bridge between tradition and modernity, someone with both the business expertise and emotional intelligence to support talent and advocate for meaningful creative development. Others, however, worry that her reappearance signals renewed family conflict or additional backstage tension that could harm WWE's progress under TKO's restructuring. The mixture of excitement, skepticism, and worry reveals not only how invested fans are, but how much emotional weight her return carries. Hashtags trending online capture this division, but beneath the online noise lies a more nuanced truth. Fans care deeply because Stephanie has become a symbol of leadership, of legacy, of the struggle between corporate control and creative passion, and of the personal cost of high-stakes family business. The public rarely acknowledges how emotionally taxing it can be for anyone, even a seasoned executive, to navigate such contradictory reactions, especially after years of burnout, personal sacrifices, and constant scrutiny. In this sense, the fan response mirrors the broader narrative of her life: complex, passionate, divided, hopeful, and tinged with the understanding that behind the corporate titles and televised persona is a human being shaped by both privilege and pressure. Conclusion: a woman at a crossroads, a company in transition, Stephanie McMahon's unofficial return to WWE may mark one of the most significant turning points in her lifelong relationship with the company, representing not a return to power but a re-entry into a world that has defined her identity for nearly 5 decades. She stands at a personal and professional crossroads, navigating the emotional complexities of loyalty, legacy, ambition, and self-preservation. While she has not publicly revealed health concerns, the patterns of burnout, corporate stress, and emotional strain visible in her career arc reflect the broader human reality of leadership in a high-pressure environment. Financially, while Stephanie herself remains secure, WWE's shifting corporate structure, competition, and internal morale challenges create valid concerns about the company's long-term financial direction, concerns she must witness from a unique vantage point as both an insider and outsider. What happens next depends not only on corporate decisions or family dynamics, but on Stephanie's personal journey toward defining her role outside traditional titles and expectations. For the first time in decades, her path is not clearly mapped, and within that uncertainty lies the potential for reinvention, for herself and perhaps for WWE. Whether she becomes a stabilizing presence, a quiet strategist, or a symbolic figure of transition, Stephanie McMahon's story is far from over, and the next chapters will likely shape not just the future of a company, but the legacy of a woman who has spent her entire life at the intersection of power, passion, and pressure.